Hello and welcome to another episode of Spec Steppin. We are stepping through the API spec one little piece at a time. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the CSS Object Model, or as you can see on the screen, the CSOM. Basically, it's the CSS equivalent of the HTML DOM. So in an HTML DOM, as many of you probably are already aware, it's a hierarchical structure, parent-child relationship, sibling relationship, that sort of thing. And we can traverse the DOM using JavaScript, manipulate it, update, add, remove, all the sorts of things we can do from JavaScript for the DOM. Well, now with the CSS object model, we can do the same thing within our CSS, and we have all sorts of events that we can use and methods and all that stuff that we can do. And I'm not going to go through every single one of these. There's a bunch of them. Basically, bottom line, we can use JavaScript to manipulate the CSS structure in our CSS file on the fly. Now, let's go ahead and jump to the code, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. So first, let me show you the index page. Pretty simple index page. I have a style sheet because we need that for CSS, and I have my JavaScript. So I'm going to interact with the style sheet. And so basically, just like JavaScript can change the HTML DOM document object, we can use this JavaScript to change the CSS object. So I have a div that's just a class of box. I have a button that has just an ID there that I can grab. And then so I can click it so that will actually trigger the code to change. And then I have a log that I'm outputting some data. So, and I have, you'll see I'll have some things in the console log as well. So first thing I do is I wait for the document to be fully loaded. Then I grab my button and my log, and then I have a function just to log output to the screen itself. I could have probably logged it to the console if I wish to, but I'm just logging it to page as well. And again, I'll have some console logs. So here's where I access the style sheet where the real magic comes into play. So in my constant here of style sheet, I can go into my docket and I can say, give me my style sheets. Now, it's important that you understand that this is like I say here, a live list of all the style sheets on the page. So if you have multiple style sheets, which maybe sometimes there's a reason to do that, but in most cases, I would suggest, and this is probably a topic for another video, minification and combining of style sheets. That way you reduce your network calls, so hopefully to one style sheet, but I could see a reason why you might have a few more than that. But basically it's numbered like in an array. It uses kind of array notation here. So 0, that grabs the first style sheet in the list, which I only have one, so that makes it easy. And then I can find a specific rule for our box class. So let me jump over to our styles real quick, and then I'll go back to the code here. So I just have stuff for the body, but here's the rules in the box class that I'm going to target. So this is our initial ones. And I have a transition there, so you're going to be able to see visually when I click the button that it changes, and have some basic styling there. So here's what I'm targeting, all of these styles right here. So let me go back to the code here. So first I got this box rule. So the style sheet rules using a let there, I can grab the different box rules and change the value of it based on what I'm grabbing. So here I'm going to do just a for loop, and I'm going to loop over the style sheet rules. Once we put the style sheet here in this variable, we can then access all the CSS rules, similar to, again, how you would access all of the nodes within an HTML document. So then I'm looking for the selector text. Now, here's a side note. If you have not ever done this, it is probably a good practice or a good learning experience to grab a piece of the HTML DOM, and I would probably do that before I do the CSS, and then log it to the console. When you expand that node, you're going to see there's all sorts of properties and things that you can access that are pretty cool. And so in the CSS object in the rule, there's a selector text. So notice it's equivalent to dot box, and it's going to be string related. So make sure you don't have any typos. So I'm looking for basically this rule right here. And so if it's that rule, then I'm going to take that rule and put it in my let variable box rule. And then once I found it, I'm just going to break out of it. Otherwise, it's going to loop all the way through until I get to that. So once it finds from a performance standpoint, that's the only one I'm caring about. So I'm just going to break out of it. So then if box rule has any value, which it should after this point, I'm going to grab the initial color. So I'm going to go into that box rule, style, background color. Now you may have done this directly in JavaScript where you access the styles like they're here with like dot object notation. So I'm going to go into that box rule and in the style, grab the background color. And then I'm just going to do a quick log here what the initial color is, which it should be this steel blue. Then I just put little hyphens there from a viewing standpoint to separate some text so it doesn't all run together. And then I'm going to modify it using CSS So I'm adding a click event to my change button. When I click it, it's going to log here. And then I'm going to grab the current color, which should be that steel blue color. And then if the current color is equal to steel blue, then I'm going to say change that steel color to orange red and change the width to 300 pixels, which this width that's starting off is 200 pixels. So I'm going to add it, make it 50% bigger, basically. So I'm going to log that I'm changing it to red and the width to 300 pixels. And then otherwise, the box rule style background color is set to steel blue and 200 pixels if it doesn't find it. Now, side note, I do have a video I created on a different way to access these properties where it does not, you don't have to worry about the string things. It accesses it through the object model of the CSS, and you can definitely do it that way too. This is just a different way to do some of this stuff. So then I'm going to log and it changes it back there and then just put some hyphens to separate it. And if I can't find it, it's not going to find it. So let's jump over here and let's look at my demo here. So my color is, so let me refresh here. So see this one right here where it says found rule for box, initial background color is still blue. So here it says it found it. So it found the rule for box. And then if it's equal to steel blue, this is on the click, it'll change it. Otherwise, could not find it. So it found the steel box, steel blue right there. And the initial color is steel blue. Here's the box, here's the button. And notice it accesses the style sheet and it found the rule for box. Now, if I click this, it should change it to orange, make it 50% bigger and log the appropriate information. So there, it changed it to orange, made it 300 pixels wide, and it said that I clicked the button and it changed the background and also logged it to the console. If I click it back again, boom, it goes back because I have that if-else statement where it switches it back and forth. So you can do that programmatically. Pretty cool way to do it. Just another way, different than the CSS object model, a different way to access it, similar to accessing an HTML DOM. If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, happy stepping.